This is Soundcheck. I'm John Schaefer. Running Blind. It's the title track to Philip Selway's newly released EP, but not too many people are questioning Selway's musical vision. It's been sharpened by more than 2 decades as the drummer for Radiohead. We'll talk to Philip Selway in a moment about striking out on his own, but first he's going to play something for us live in the studio. From his debut solo album, Familial, this is Philip Selway with By Some Miracle, live on Soundcheck. That is called By Some Miracle, live performance by Philip Selway, who you probably know better as the drummer in Radiohead. Does everybody in the band sing the falsetto thing? Is that just like part of being in the group?
Yeah, that was the rehearsal. That was the audition, falsetto.
Clear something up for me. Radiohead fans know you as Phil Selway, but you're Philip Selway on the records, on your own records. Is that an intentional kind of distinction you're making?
It's my stage name.
Your nom de disque, as it were.
Yeah.
The album Familial had, a full complement of songs, but you apparently wrote more than would fit on the CD, and thus we have this Running Blind EP. How did you decide, what would make it onto the CD? I mean, did these 4 just seem like outliers somehow, or did they have a different sound?
They did. In some ways, I mean, there are some of the tracks on the EP which I thought were kind of the front runners for the record as I was making it. But then I think the character of the record was very much kind of a pillow talk late night record, and these tracks just for me didn't really fit in with that. But a lot of work had gone into them, so it's and they held together as an EP in their own right.
Both the Familial, the full length, and Running Blind, the new EP, have more of a, I guess, kind of a folk sound. I mean, that's, people hear acoustic guitar and someone singing and they think folk songs.
Yeah.
Maybe, there was a time when the word folktronica was being thrown at people like Juana Molina and the band Tongue and people like that. Were you listening to that scene?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Juana Molina in particular. Her album a few ago, Son, I just thought was amazing. What she was doing with all the looping, and it's just something that was so distinctive to her at the time. So it was things like that. It was Juana Molina, also people like Will Oldham, Tongue as well. So actually, the live band that I have with me when I'm playing at the moment, also somebody who's playing in that Ardham, who solo artist in his own right. He was very much part of all of that, and so that's where I felt was a good home for my material at the time.
And did you know that while you were writing the songs, or did this is it just kind of in retrospect? Oh, I must have been kind of in that place when I wrote this.
Do you know what? I kind of didn't know what I knew when I was writing it, because I was just going through that whole process of actually learning how to do the complete article in my own right.
Right.
Learning if I could actually sing them and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose it was there in the background, but that was very much something when I got to the end of it thinking, I can tell what I was listening to. Yeah.
So we hear you singing and playing guitar on the record. We do not hear you drumming. We do hear Glenn Cochi, who these days plays drums for Wilco, but is also, an extraordinary percussionist in his own right. What was it like for you to cede control over that part of the band?
Very easy, actually, when you're working with Glenn, because he's just such an amazing player. And actually, for me, as the songs were coming together, I just couldn't hear drum parts, which was slightly worrying for me. But so to actually, see what Glenn brought to it, how he approached it, was a completely different approach to something that I would have taken, and it was just so in keeping with the music.
So we're talking with Phil Selway about two things. The new Running Blind EP is out now, and then the solo debut Familial was released in August of last year. Radiohead is performing September 28th and 29th at the Roseland Ballroom in New York, and you guys also have a date with Stephen Colbert on Monday night.
We do, yeah.
So that's something that'll be the full band. But right now, just Phil and his guitar playing for us here in the Soundcheck studio. What Goes Around is one of those 4 songs that is on the new EP.
It is, but the tuning I've got on this guitar, I've just looked, is going to be the Witching Hour, I'm afraid.
Ah, okay, all right. So we'll...
But yes, What Goes Around is on the on the EP.
All right, so maybe we do that later. But let's. All right, this guitar is tuned up for the Witching Hour, so let's hear the Witching Hour. It's Philip Selway live on Soundcheck. Philip Selway live on Soundcheck with The Witching Hour. A version of that is on his debut solo record called Familial, and he's got the new EP called Running Blind out as well. Phil, did you play guitar as a kid?
Not as such, no. I was a bit obsessed with drums, really.
Mm-hmm.
Played a little bit, but no, it's drums that were...
So, at what point did you start writing songs, singing, playing guitar, all of this stuff?
For my 30th birthday, which is sadly quite a long time ago now, the rest of the band actually bought me a guitar. At that point.
Really?
I don't know if they're, saying something about my drumming or something, but they got me a guitar, and that was really the start of it. So.
Now, does the success of Radiohead give you a kind of cushion to go out and, try something completely different? Or does it actually, set the bar so high that it can actually be more difficult to try and do something like this?
It's a yes and no to that one. It's, I suppose I've, learnt so much from having been in radio for such a long time, and fortunate enough that, when I have released something, I suppose more people have been interested than necessarily would have been. But along with that, we have, I suppose at the back of my mind, there's the benchmark of Radiohead, which is no bad thing to have over your head, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a bit of both.
So what does it do to the group dynamic? Tom had his solo record, Johnny Greenwood, a very successful career doing film scores and orchestral music. You've done this. Does it change the songwriting process when the 5 of you come back together?
I suppose, it's... you'll always learn something musically. You'll always extend yourself musically when you do stuff outside the band. In terms of how we work, I mean, that not necessarily. I don't think it's changed the dynamic in that way. I mean, we always try and change the method from record to record anyway, but no, that hasn't altered the dynamic. In some ways, I think it allows the natural dynamic of the band more space to breathe.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a case of the door opens, the drummer walks in and says, "Hey guys, I've written a song."
I deliberately avoided that one.
But Philip Selway has written songs and has recorded them on the album Familial and on the EP Running Blind. Now, is this the guitar that's tuned up for What Goes Around?
I reckon so. I think we could be in luck.
Okay, let's hear another live performance from Phil Selway on Soundcheck.
I've been going round in circles, oh, sleep tight.
Phil Selway, What Goes Around. That's on his newly released EP, Running Blind, but a live solo version on guitar. Philip Selway on Soundcheck. Phil, we were talking earlier in the program, marking the 20th anniversary of Nirvana's Nevermind. Mm-hmm. That album came out just as you guys were preparing the first Radiohead record.
Actually, that record came out, so it would have been 91.
Right.
And that's the time when we were signed. Because I think at the time, I think EMI were looking for their answer to Nirvana.
Really?
And possibly.
So it did have an impact on your side of the Atlantic as well?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, it's huge. Absolutely huge. I mean, and then, we didn't quite turn into Nirvana, but they stuck with us anyway.
Well, you turned into something else, and that something else has turned out to be one of the most important rock bands of recent times. The group Radiohead is playing on at Roseland Ballroom on September 28th and 29th, and doing a show with Stephen Colbert on The Colbert Report, Comedy Central, Monday night. Philip Selway's Running Blind EP is out now on None Such Records. And Phil, it's been great having you here with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
This is Soundcheck.